Hello, this is Nina from the Happy Hippie, and I am here to show you the decks that I have modified today. So if that's something that interests you, then stick around. So we have quite a few decks to go through, so we're just going to take them one by one, and I'm going to explain how I modified them and why, okay? So let's start with the first one. Now this one is The Wisdom of the House of Night by Jenna de la Grottaglia and Colette Baron Reed. And for those of you who know the original deck, know that this one is quite bigger, but I have cut it quite down. Just put a card in there to remember which deck it is. Now, this was quite big, and it had a border on it that I didn't like very much. And another thing about this deck is that it has sharp edges, like 90 degrees edges. So it got tangled up in stuff, and it actually hurt my hands when I was shuffling it. So I decided I wanted to cut the edges anyways, but then I saw the edge on the images and I was like, you know what? I want to cut it all the way down. There was also another thing with this stick, and that was that there was some of the interpretations that I felt did not, they didn't speak to me, okay? To put it that way. They just didn't speak to me. So I also wanted to cut away some of the information on the card. So that's why this one has been chopped down quite a bit. So what I did, I kept only the images, okay? So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and you can see it. Oh, I have to move this lamp because I keep bumping into it. Okay, so let's see if I can zoom in just a little bit so you can see the images. Because I found the images very beautiful and those spoke to me, okay? And when you have bought a deck, it's your deck to do with whatever you want to, you know. Some people call that blasphemy, and that's fine, you know, if that's your take on it. But for me, it's more like, it's my deck, I paid for it, I'm going to use it for me, the way it fits me, and so that's why I have chosen to modify some deck, okay? So these are the images of those cards, and I found these images so beautiful, and the images really speak to me. So the way I use these cards now is solely on intuition. So I can use this as a beginning, you know, you can get people to pick a card and they can look at the images and see where they're drawn, and then you can kind of read into the image, right? That's the way to do it. Or you can use it as an extra card in the end of a reading and kind of go a little bit, not reading cards, but go more on the intuition and speaking directly to your team or to spirit, you know. So there's many ways to use it in that sense. But I mean, it was a beautiful deck to begin with. I'm not saying that they didn't do a good job, because they did, especially on the artwork. But for me personally, there was just something that was off, okay? So that's why I have chosen to use this deck this way, because I love these images, okay? Just going to flip through real quick so you get an idea of what these images are. For me, they're very self-explanatory, but sometimes you get drawn into a different part of the image than you normally do, and so all of a sudden the card has a different meaning, right? So that's that. And I also chose to edge this in a kind of a purplish color that I used Pro Marker to do. So there you go. So that is the wisdom of the house, the wisdom of the House of Night. Long name also on that deck. So that was the way I chose to do that. There is one more deck that I have chopped down to the same as this one, and I will show you that one now. And that is this deck, and that is the Osho Zen Tarot. Okay, the Osho Zen Tarot for me, I didn't feel like it was a tarot. It just didn't fit with my beliefs and how I read tarot. So as soon as it kind of ended being a tarot for me, it started more being like an oracle deck. But then I felt like some of the information, it just kind of was disturbing to me. So I chose to cut that off and edge it in a kind of an orangey color. But I kept the images on this one too. Yeah, a little bit upside down here. So the images, I use this deck the same way as I used the other one. So I just look at the images, and these images are also very self-explanatory. They're very kind of to the point. So I like that very much about this deck, okay? And I mean, again, it's my deck. I get to choose. I get to choose how I use it. But you know, I'm very much about the artwork in a deck. The artwork for me is what speaks to me first. So I'm just going to flip through. This is quite a well-known deck. I'm just going to flip through some of the images so you get an idea of what this is. It's just gorgeous images, and they are very, they just speak to me. They speak directly to me, and I love that. So that's why I did this, and then I don't get disturbed by everything else. I just kind of focus on the image and my direct communication with spirit. So that's the way I work with the Osho Zen now. I also chose to take away a couple of the images because I was struggling with anxiety for a while, and some of those images were very grim and very dark. So I chose to take those away. That's my choice. Okay, so that's that. That's the Osho Zen that I have. Okay, so let us then look at the Mythic Tarot deck. It's not the original one with the black back. It's the other one with the purple. No, I can't open it. The other one with the purple back. That's kind of, yeah. I didn't really like the back of these cards, to be honest with you. It was kind of cheap for me, and the cardstock was very cardboardy. But anyways, there was also a what do you call it, a border on these cards. I have to admit that I do also have the original where I didn't cut the border off, but in the beginning I just couldn't deal with the border. It was bothering me, so I chose to cut it off, and I chose to edge it in a kind of a a pink color. So this was the way it worked for me. Then I could focus more on the images, you know, of this deck. Oh, a little bit too high up there. So this is the one. This is also a deck that's quite well known. It is kind of about the mythology, Greek mythology, most of all. Yeah. You know, it's a very, how can you say? Yeah, it's a very special deck. This one. You know it as soon as you see it. You say, "Ah, yeah, that's the one." You know, I haven't seen any other decks that look similar to this one. So, just flipping through quite quickly here, just to let you see what these images are about. I'm sorry if I'm pushing the table so the camera is shaking. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Okay, let's see if I can stop doing that then. Okay, so now you kind of have an idea as to what these images are about. So they're just a standard size tarot. You know, from where? Yeah. This R. I can't see where that's from, but yeah. But I think you can get it pretty much anywhere. I've seen them on Amazon and stuff, so it shouldn't be difficult to get a hold of them anyways. So that's the one. That's the Mythic Tarot deck modified version. And now I also have the Crystal Vision Tarot. I know other people have also modified their Crystal Vision Tarot. And it is simply to get the images to pop. Okay, the back is quite beautiful. I edged it, you know, in a kind of a pinkish color, and these are the images. I think it kind of gives more to the artist, I feel, when it's not too much border around it, but that's just my opinion. But these are beautiful cards. I really love these cards. I've used them a lot. They've been in my possession for a long time, so yeah. This was one of my go-to decks for a long time. Now I've gotten so many new decks, so so I don't use it as often anymore, but I still love it. I still find it very beautiful. The colors here are so vibrant and beautiful, I feel. And kind of a purpley pinkish theme. Kind of a, I guess this is more of a feminine deck, if you will. But I like it very much. just quickly go. I love this one, Four of Swords, beautiful. Yeah, so just quickly going through so you get an idea as what the cards look like. And this is also one that you can get pretty much anywhere. It's not difficult to get a hold of. Oh, why did I want to go over there? There, so that's the Crystal Vision Tarot. Now let's move on. Now this is, I thought this was the cut version, but I guess not. No, that's the big version. I have a cut version of that one. Where did I put that? Interesting, because I had it here not too long ago. And now I can't find it. Let's see if it's in here somewhere. There. There it is. Okay. I have two versions of this because I had the one that's actually still with the borders, as you can see here. But then I had the first one that I got, I cut away the borders on it. So I'm just going to show you the one that I did modify. So I just grabbed the wrong deck. Okay, so Tarot de los Magos, or the Magician's Tarot. I doubt that you can find this in English anymore. I do believe they still have some Spanish versions left of this. And it's a beautiful deck, so I highly recommend it. I edged this one in kind of a light brown color to kind of match some of the colors on the back of this one. So this one is glossy, but the newer ones that I got is not glossy. So this is an older version, I guess. So again, I cut it away to make the image pop, because these images are so beautiful. So I will flip through for you. I find this deck very beautiful. The colors are beautiful. It's so professionally made. The cardstock is good, at least on this version. The cardstock on the not glossy one is not as good as this one, but it's still good. Okay. So I don't know if you can find this glossy version anywhere now, or if it's all sold out. I was hoping that she would redo this deck. I tried to get a hold of her to ask, but I never got an answer, so I don't know. Her name is, just a moment, Caroline Kenner, isn't it? Yeah, that's John Blumen has made the artwork, so I guess he's the one who's selling it now. Caroline Kenner, I think her name is, that has done the tarot part of this, and she's also written a book about tarot, by the way. That's really good. So yeah, so I do believe, as I said, that you can find a Spanish version of this. This is and it's easy to understand, even if you don't speak Spanish. So so that's that. So I chose to cut those edges off and use it as that. So Tarot de los Magos. So next one is the Chrysalis Tarot, and again the same the same reason for cutting off the edges, because you see here on the back, these are the edges. There's so much going on, and I mean, if you love that, then cool, but for me it was just taking away so much from the image, so that's why I chose to cut off the edges of this. Now this is the back, still looks beautiful. I edged it in a dark blue. And these are the images. This is also another one that's quite unique. I mean, the images are so intricate, as you know, just by themselves. So to have that border with all that stuff also, it just became too much for me. It was disturbing. Okay. But you can see the images here are so cool. Very special. Very nice. So yeah, I definitely recommend this deck. All the decks that I have, I recommend. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful deck, and very vibrant colors also in this one, I have to say. Very good cardstock on this too. It's kind of a half glossy style to it, for those who were wondering. And this was also one that I reached for very much in the beginning of my channel. I used it a lot in readings. Also, But after I got very many new decks, you know, you don't very often reach for the older ones for some odd reason. Still beautiful though. So, yeah. So that's that. That's what I did with the Chrysalis. Chrysalis Tarot. So there you go. Okay, Chrysalis Tarot. Now the next one. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, I cut the Shadowscape Tarot. Blasphemy, right? For me, you know, it's the edging here is silver, okay? And for me, that was just, it was just disturbing. It was disturbing me when I was doing the readings. So I chose to cut it. And I chose to edge it in a kind of a pink. So yes, the back is still beautiful. Edged it in pink. And these are the images. Now you see this kind of, I don't know if you can see that silver. It does reflect a little bit, even though it's not glossy. It's kind of half glossy. So for me, with all that silver all the way around, was just very disturbing. So that's why I just cut it off. And now, and also there is so much going on in the images themselves. They're so intricate. So I wanted the focus to be on the images, as always. So we'll just flip through this real quick. Shadowscape Tarot. It's a beautiful deck, I have to say. It's kind of a muted color palette, but that's also very beautiful. And the images are very, very special. There's text by Stephanie Pui-Mun Lau and Barbara Moore. So I don't know if Stephanie Pui-Mun Lau is the one who has made this. Yeah, I think she's the artist actually. So yeah, it's very beautiful, very special, different, you know. I love this Ace of Wands. Yeah. So, you like? Very special deck. So that is the Shadowscape Tarot. Modified version. There you go. Okay, next we have the Druidcraft Tarot deck. And this was so big. I mean, it was the entire, you know, it filled up the entire space here. And my hands could not reach, you know. It's like, oh. So it was just way too big for me to hold. So I cut away the edges. Let's see if I can see, is there an image? Yeah. There's an image here. This is what kind of they look like originally. And so there's kind of an outer border and an inner border. So I cut away both of them so they will be small enough for my hands to be able to hold them. So that's that. I didn't edge this one. I just wanted to keep it that way. So these are the images. So you see I cut them down all the way into the inner border, and I just kept the name of the card. But they are beautiful and, you know, very well known. The Druidcraft Tarot has been very popular for many years with many readers I know. And it's because it's, I mean, it's very vibrant and it tells a story. Each card very much, yeah, tells a story, and they're a little bit different than the normal Rider-Waite Tarot, which I find kind of interesting. So, yeah, I really, really enjoy this deck. It's been a while since I used it again. This is also one that's been in my possession for a very long time. And as I said earlier, you know, the ones you use in the beginning might not be the ones you use now, you know, except maybe for your Trust Your Rider-Waite Tarot. Yeah. Just flipping through quite quickly here. Still have some decks to go through. Not that many though. 4 more after this. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful images. Lovely, lovely deck. No doubt about it. but easier to use when you cut off the borders, I have to say. Especially for those with smaller hands. And I don't have small hands, but still, I have problems. So, yeah. So that's that. That is the Druidcraft Tarot deck. Okay? So, let's move on. Now, I have also chosen to cut off the Oceanic Tarot by Jane Wallace. And the reason for that is, now I do also have the original of this one, and I'm going to show you how the cards normally look. The thing is that she has written a name at the bottom of each card. And for me, that makes it kind of more like a oracle card, you know. And sometimes for me personally, I didn't, the word that they had kind of chosen with the different tarot cards didn't always, it didn't always compute for me. I have to just be honest about that, okay? So yeah, it was just bothering me a bit, okay? Let's be honest. It was bothering me that they had chosen to use some words and they just didn't compute, you know, for me. So that's why I chose to cut off the bottom of these cards and just keep the name of the card on top, okay? And they are still just as beautiful. And I also used a professional, you know, edge cutter here, and I didn't choose any colors on this one. So that's the way I did it. I really enjoy this deck now. Okay, it still, you know, gets the image and tells you what you need to know. You have the name of the card, but you don't have that name or word at the bottom the way they have interpreted the tarot. I interpret it differently, and of course I could just ignore it or use it as an oracle card deck if I wanted to, but this is what I chose to do, okay? But it is a beautiful deck. I mean, the images are so beautiful. The color palette is beautiful. It's a glossy deck, as you can see. Cardstock is good, even though they're kind of tall and bendy, and it's a quality deck, okay? So yeah, that's what I chose to do. So just going to flip through real quick so you can see. Not much else to say about this deck. It's also quite well known. Many people use it. Many people know it. There you go. So that was my choice to do, and as I said, the back is still beautiful, even though you have I have chopped it. So it works for me, most definitely. So also a deck that has been with me for quite some time, actually. Oh yeah, I have to fix this later on. Yep. There you go. The Oceanic Tarot, modified. Okay, let's move on. So, the Magical Nordic Tarot, also by Jane Wallace. Because she keeps doing the same thing. You know, she keeps putting those names at the bottom here. So, again, I chose to cut it. So, no, it's not, I'm not wanting to be negative towards Jane Wallace. She's doing a great job with these decks, so that's not what it is. But for me, I just needed to cut it. Oh, sorry, it was out of focus for a minute. Okay, so the back is still beautiful, you know, and this one I edged in a tiny, tiny soft pink. Tiny bit of soft pink. And these are the images. So just again, cut the bottom and rounded it off, and they turned out quite well, I think. So yeah, and this is of course a more wintry palette, a more muted ice kind of coloring for me, many of the cards. It is supposed to be Nordic, which is my world. I live in Norway, so there you go. But beautiful. I really enjoy this deck too. It's beautiful images. Really love the palette here, the artwork. Definitely speaks to me. So I wanted really badly to love this deck, and I just didn't manage with all the words on the bottom, so I chose to cut them off. Now I love it. And I think it's okay, you know, sometimes I do keep the words on the bottom of different decks, but in some decks I just, or in some interpretations rather, it just doesn't compute for me. So that's my personal opinion. But of course I could just ignore it. But anyways, there you go. So that was the Magical Nordic Tarot. Let me just put that away. We can move on to the next one. All right. Okay, the Magical Nordic Tarot. And the next one is, and do not kill me, Steampunk Tarot. Yeah, I know. Blasphemy, right? So these ones had, as you can see here, a black edge. And black edges for me, especially if the cards themselves are a little bit on the darker side, it's difficult to kind of see. Oh, sorry, there. It's difficult to kind of see the cards for me then. The image, okay? If it's too, I mean, some of these cards are quite dark, okay? See here? And then when you get a black edge on top of that, it just gets too much for me. So, but the back is still beautiful, as you can see. I edged this in kind of a light brown, trying to match some of the colors here. And these are the images. And for me, it just pops so much more. And I can read the images so much easier when I chopped off this black edge, okay? That's my opinion. So this is the way the cards look. They are glossy. The cardstock is good. It's a Barbara Moore deck, so if you know Barbara Moore and her different Llewellyn decks and stuff like that, then this is kind of the same cardstock, okay? Images are gorgeous. I love this deck. I'm just flipping through real quick for you. Yeah, it's, you know, it is the steampunk theme, and it's fun, it's different. I love this deck so much. Really. So, yeah. It's one I tend to use more in the fall, I feel, because of the dark kind of energy. I feel a little bit more darker. Not dark energy, but the darker theme. The Halloweeny kind of, I don't know. But I really, really love this deck. Definitely. Good job. I just wish that they would enhance the image and cut out the black borders, but that's just me. Borderless Steampunk Tarot. So Barbara Moore, if you hear me, please give us a borderless Steampunk Tarot. Okay. And it comes in one of these big, beautiful boxes with a really, really good guidebook, by the way. With lots of information. Okay. So that was the Steampunk Tarot. Now for the last one of my modified decks. The Witch's Tarot. Yes, I know. I know. Again, very good guidebook. Lots of information with images and everything for those who are interested. And this is also a same kind of deck, if you will, like the previous one. Oh, I can put it over here. So this is the back. I edged it in kind of a lavender color to try and match a little bit here. And this also comes with the black edges, as you can see here. So it's the same problem with this one. for me. Even though these are not as dark as the Steampunk Tarot, it still bothered me. So I got them off. So here we go. So these are the images, beautiful images. Also glossy cards, good cardstock, by the way. And the Witch's Tarot is, of course, well known. But I find that the images pop so much more without the black border. So again, Ellen Dugan, if you hear me, please give us a Witch's Tarot that's borderless. So yeah, I love this Ten of Swords. This is one of my favorite Ten of Swords that I own. Beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, you might love the black border on these, but I definitely don't. I think there's so much beautiful borderless. So, what do you think? Feel free to comment in the comment section, people. I love to hear your comments. I read every one. So, yeah, and this is something I did here as well. In some decks, they call number 20, you know, the Judgment, karma. For me, that didn't compute, so I just took a little Sharpie there and just blocked it out. Yeah. Anyways. So this is the Witch's Tarot. Very beautiful deck. I love that one so much, and I use it very much in the fall, and of course around Halloween with the witches theme. So there you go. That is the Witch's Tarot. Okay, people, that was actually all the decks I had. I hope you appreciated this little show and tell of the decks that I have modified. I hope you don't kill me. Again, you know, it's your deck once you bought it. You can do with it what you want. Use it the way you want to use it, because you are the one who's going to give a reading. And if it helps you to give a better reading, then chop it off. That's what I say. Okay, thank you so much for watching today. Wishing you a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. Till the next time I see you. Bye.